Hello and welcome to another episode of me painting again. We've got the acrylics, some titanium white, ultramarine blue and burnt umber. I'm going to make sort of a black with these two colours. Make a dark, cold, blackish colour. But I've already got a black background ready that I used a little bit of black gesso on my sketchbook. I'm just using well, it's really a scrapbook just to get things going, and I don't really need this black yet. I've got a spritzer that I keep my paint wet because it can dry out on your can acrylics. It's probably the only thing that annoys me about acrylics is that they dry out so quick, but then the benefit of that is when you're painting with them, they dry out so quick. It's a double-edged sword. So I'm going to get some white, titanium white, and some of the ultramarine blue. I'm going to make a blue, a light blue, a bit of that dark actually. I might grey it. See how it just greyed the colour down a little bit. Some ultramarine. I'm going to start working on this sky. So I want the original. I had like light in places, sort of like this. Kind of light going down like that. Sort of imagine that there's clouds around and this is the light that's sort of breaking through a little bit. A bit more ultramarine blue in there. It was a bit pale. I'm just using my finger as well just to blend it. I don't want it to be too solid, I want it to be soft. The good thing about it when it's wet, you can blend it quite quickly. If you use a finger or soft brush, you can blend the colour quite quick. That's what I do anyway. Works for me. I tend to use my finger more. I've found that the using my finger more in painting has given me a bit more control. I always used to think you got to use a brush. And then the more I studied, the more I realised painters used the finger a lot to paint because of the control. I'm going to put a bit more light there, as if maybe the moon is just behind that cloud. I can imagine it's behind there as well. You can sort of create a light spot in the sky. Just washing my brush. I use a old fruit bowl. It's perfect because it's a wider area, and then you can put your brush in, and it's not going in that way, it's going in sideways, so it's not ruining your brush that way. Because if you have it plonked in that straight down, it tends to make your bristles curl. So this works quite well for me. Okay, so I'm going to grab some of my dark that I made earlier. something that I made earlier. I'm just going to use it to create some other shapes. So you can start detailing it and making changes that you want to do. Darkening areas maybe, or lightening or shrinking parts of it that you want to be a little bit like that. I want that to be a bit more rounded there and sort of come away. I quite like the atmosphere of that sky. That's quite nice. Happy with that. So just while that's drying, I can start thinking about the mountain, and I want sort of I want to keep it bluey coloured. Even the light side, I want it to have a blueness. So I'm not going to go too light. Something like that. Sort of tap the paint off a little bit. We can work on the mountain. I have the mountain splitting this bit open there. You can do mountains in any way. There's so many ways you can do it. But you could paint in the lights like this. This is what I'm going to do. And then I can put in sort of shadowy bits afterwards. You can do it in many ways. Dry brushing works quite well. Using a knife, you could do it that way. Something like that. So I've got my other blue, my darker blue, sort of a grey blue, a little bit of white in it, and that can be the shadow side. Just going to smudge an area at the bottom part. Quite like that. I think there would be a little bit more light in this bit there. Now what I'm going to do, switch brushes. Using my blue and brown dark. And using that I can start putting in some darker areas. You can really go into detail using this. And then you can start doing it along here as well, start breaking areas off. Cracks in the rocks and stuff. Some of them, they sort of painted themselves, you can see them. I do like painting mountains. I haven't seen too many. I've only really seen the ones in the Lake District in England, but I've seen pictures. My cousin actually lives over near Alaska, so I've seen some of his pictures as well. Somewhere I need to go visit, really, and I could get some good pictures of my own. So, what I'm doing now is I'm going to lighten an area. Maybe that moonlight is just hitting some of this a little bit more than it is everywhere else. Sort of adds something, doesn't it? Add a little bit more to it. I get carried away though, I start thinking, oh, I could do a bit more there, a bit more there. Before you know it, you fill the whole thing up with a mountain. Might have a little bit there, look. A bit more sort of little extra bits. Okay, now what I might do is have a couple of trees. I was going to do like a winter wonderland type thing, but what can I have over this side? I could have like and originally we had like land going, and it sort of comes round like that. Could still do that, I suppose. Soften that outside edge there. Don't want that to be a hard edge. Soft. Maybe there's some trees and stuff there. Just use my finger just to pull stuff up. Like that. And then over this side. And then we can have some water coming through here. Again, I'm smudging everything really. It's a way of hiding stuff. Hiding all the problems with the painting by smudging. It's harder to see all the errors, you see. Just making sure I can see everything. Yeah, so what I need now just want to straighten this bit off here. I've got the moonlight, maybe have a bit more light sort of hitting some of the areas there. Maybe a little bit more blue in the water. You probably wouldn't see any of this, but I just like to make it look more interesting. There's a face there. One of those strange faces that appears in your painting by accident. Happens quite a lot to me. Does that happen to you? Leave a message in the comments if you get weird faces like that in your painting. Just putting some dark in here, little tiny little strokes just to make that more like a bit of moving water. Maybe something like that. I might put a nice light tree in here. Put it in here. Maybe not as light as I was going to go. I might go for a greyish blue. Sort of there. Just using the corner of the brush. And that'll dry a little bit. While that's drying, I'll grab a little bit of lighter. I'm going for a little bit of lighter blue. Using the, it's just the, I think it's the 1/2 inch brush. Load the colour on. Just use the corner. Put the snow on. I think you can see it better if I go for it actually. I wasn't going to go for it, but you couldn't really see it, so might as well. Oops, splodge. Might put another one in. Quite enjoyed that. Maybe I'll put one in there as well. What I might do as well, because it's where the moon is, have a bit of a shade area. Okay, something like that. A path going down there. Yeah, something like that. I don't really like that. I'm going to get rid of that. Something like that. Yeah. Do I like that? I think that should come down a little bit more. Sort of like... Okay. I'm tempted to also. I might put somebody there. Someone going up to climb there, maybe. Maybe there's someone else. Put some like little footsteps in the snow. Keep them simple. It just creates a little bit of scale, that's all in the picture. So there we go. We'll call that one finished. So thanks very much for watching this episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it gave you some ideas. There's plenty more you could do. I mean, when I'm looking, I can always see bits. I'm like, wouldn't it be good if it had like the indication of a tree trunk in there. There's always little details you could see and do. You could sort of shade one side of the tree and all sorts. I mean, you can do all sorts, can't you? You can do all sorts. I kind of want to like break that up a bit there. Create some sort of a almost rock-like area. But I'll I better stop. So I'll say thanks very much for watching this episode. And I'll hopefully see you at another one. I'll try and get the whole picture in there, doing it flat. We're nearly there. It's more like there. Move the camera up a little bit more. There we go, something like that. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you at another one. Cheers, bye.